Hi, Mike here. I wanted to give you 4 tips on, why are you laughing? Every time you, 4-step process. 4-step process. Hi everyone, Mike here. So we're at the sanding stage, okay? So everything has been coated. We already did our final coat on all of the seams. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today was how to sand this stuff without having dust everywhere. I know it sounds kind of like an oxymoron, but I've done a lot of projects, a lot of DIY projects. So they're in my house where my family's living, and I don't want dust all over. So through the years, I've come up with some techniques on how to keep the dust down. Now, ideally, it'd be great if I could just go through the whole place with a pole sander and I could sand all these seams. It'd be great. But I don't have that luxury, right? I have people living here. I don't want to be breathing on the dust in. Okay, so I have a 4-step process that I've come up with through the years. So I wanted to go through all 4 steps. Okay, so like I said, we already have our finished coat on everything. So now we're going to go through and we need to sand everything and make sure everything's nice and flat. Okay, so it starts with the knife. All right, so just like you do between all your coats, you're going to go through and you're going to clean all your corners, you're going to clean all your seams, you know, get anything off, right? Now we're going to kind of go through and clean everything off, okay? And we're going to do this in laps. So we're going to start in this corner and we're going to go around the entire project with just this in our hand. Okay, we're going to do everything we can with this one tool. Once that's done, we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so step 2 is actually using the Dustless sander sponge or whatever they call it. Okay, so for this process, you're going to need a bucket of water. You're going to need obviously your sponge. And this one's pretty cool because it has like a normal, like what you would think a sponge is on one side. And on the other side, it's got like this texture. And really, this just to me looks like a big, you know, like dish sponge. And I've used those dish sponges in times when I didn't have one of these or I just was doing a little job. Okay, so what you do is you kind of dampen it. You don't want it soaked. You don't want like water wringing out of it. So you can see how that's pretty dry. And what you want to do is you feel the areas, kind of get an idea of where. You know, and you shouldn't have any big areas, right, that you're going to take off. And what you want to do is just wipe it like this, okay? And you don't want to soak it, because if you soak it, it's going to get nice and soft, and although that might be good for some projects, for this one, we don't want to do that, because we want to come right back and sand in about an hour. So if we wet this stuff down too much, we're not going to use a sander. Okay, but we're just going to kind of go over it with this, and we're going to just slightly sand. You're going to notice there's no dust, because this is wet. Okay? So we're sanding this. And you can work in your corner. All right, so you're going to work the whole thing until it feels pretty good. I mean, this one wasn't too bad to begin with. Actually, I mean, up here, I think it needs a little more. So I don't want to wet it too much. But we're basically, you see no dust. I don't even have a mask on. And that's pretty smooth, okay? So you're going to do that. Again, you're going to do an entire lap with just this one thing in your hand around the entire project. Okay, when that's done, like you see, this isn't super wet. Okay, it's still pretty dry. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come with your third tool, which will be your square sanding block. All right, I don't want to touch this corner because it's still a little wet, but we'll use this corner for an example. All right, and what I'm going to do with this one, the only thing I'm going to do with this is do the inside corners. All right, so we're going to come in and we're just going to slightly, and actually when I do this, I should probably wear a mask at this point because now this is where we will be bringing some dust in. But for this, I'll just show you. We're just going to slightly go in and we're going to clean the corners up. All right. And that looks pretty good. All right. I'll come back and do that, you know, perfectly, but that's pretty much all you need. You don't really need to go crazy here, okay? Just with the sponge. All right. Then when you're done with that, again, entire project, go around the entire thing with this in your hand, with a mask. The last step, which is the one you're doing all this work ahead of time to avoid this step. This is the last step. And this is the one you want to use the least of. And hopefully at this point, you did such a great job with this tool, with this sponge, that you really don't need to do much with this. And really the only place you probably would want to use this is maybe like for these areas where the spackle is heating the drywall, maybe to give it a little bit more of a better transition, all right? And we're not gonna get crazy here, okay? We wanna keep this like a little bit on an angle, and I actually like going down like this, all right? And what that does is basically you're pushing the dust into the floor. You're not pushing it up and blowing it out all over the place, okay? And that's your last step of the process. Another thing that I do is for my finishing coat, I actually use this type of spackle. It's called Dust Control. So it's basically just a little bit, it's a lightweight spackle, so it's easy to sand, but it's a little bit heavier. I'm not really sure how they do it, but basically what it does is it causes the dust just to fall directly down. So I use that for my final coat. So all my fill coats and everything are used with just normal drywall mud, but for my last coat, I thin this stuff out, super thin, and then I put my nice finishing coat on. Okay, so that's like number 5, step number 5, or step actually number 0. That's something you want to use before you do anything. Okay, hopefully you got something out of this video. If you did, please like, please comment below if you think I should do something different. I'd love to hear it. All right, thanks.